Hello Ms. Ng, and hello to whoever's watching this. So today I'll be presenting my assignment trees project. My project's concept is about the contrast between nature and construction. So the main two elements is water and the other one is bricks. So I use MediaPipe to do the hand tracking, and this is the first one. So the water, I can control the volume with my first hand, and it also can make a sloshing sound like this. The other thing I can control with my hand is the water ripples, so when I move it, it creates more ripples. And as for my second hand, you can control the zoom, so when I zoom in, it will change, and when I zoom out, it can turn into more ripples if I move this hand. Yeah, so this is for the water. And the second one is I use hand gestures to change scenes. So when I do this one, it changes to the construction one. So for this one, I can also control the volume with my first hand. Sound will be a bit more louder and a bit more smaller. And for my second hand, it can change the structure. So when I do this, it changes. It also activates a brick dragging sound. Okay, so first I use a MediaPipe and then I connected it to a hand tracking. From there, I connected to two hole chops, and then from this first hole, I connected it to a clamp math. And from the clamp math, I connected to two selects. So this select and this whole place is the switch data. So this two, I selected my first hand's rotation and my second hand's pinch midpoint rotation. So it can do all of this. And then from there, I did the interface for my hands, for these, for the words, and for the words to change like this from structure to realign. So inside here, I did two. So one is for the water. So over here is where I use hand data and helpers and also the gestures, chops. And then I connected it to these sops, and this sops is the line between my index finger and thumb. And then I render it, and I added geotext to make custom text, and also I use materials like constant, so the colors could change too. And mainly over here, the switching parts and the tracking of my hand, I use all the chops that I selected which data I wanted, so that they can follow my index finger and thumbs, and also my midpoint rotation. Yeah, so this is for the geotext and interface. I did the same with the bricks version. The only thing I changed is like the words and the colors. So I changed it to density, structure, and realign, and the color red. And after that, I did the visuals. So for the visual, I also did it in separate containers. So this is the water visual. So this I learned from a tutorial. And so for the water visuals, I mainly use tops to make the visuals. So first I actually use a noise, and then I put an in to put in the hand data, so I can make the animations for it to like continue flow like the water. And I also put in the audio inside here. So the audio also takes the hand data so I can control their volume. Like this. So that's the audio part. And as for the visuals, like I said, I use a noise. And then I use an edge to create the lines. And as for the feedback loop, I also added in so I can get the effect of like a bit opacity or something gradient like that. And also I added another edge and tweaked the parameters a bit so it can give the effect of flowing water like this. This is the overall outcome. And I also added a ramp and a lookup so I can adjust the colors. So this is the network for the water visual. And as for the bricks visual, actually the same. The only difference is I use a box sub first to create the overall shape, and then I use camera to render it and also put lighting, so there will be a little bit lighting and for the scene. And then I use also box subs and sprinkle and other shapes like sphere and torus, so their placement can be like floating around a little bit like in space. And then I also use the in to select in my hand, and for this I selected in my hand to pinch midpoint rotation, and this is for when I switch they can change. Yeah. And then I also did the audio here too, so the concept is also the same like waters. I also put in an in, and then I took the hand data and also put it inside here. So it's also the same where I can control the volume and the brick dragging sound. And then I also download from online a picture of the concrete texture and I added in here, and also I use a normal map to put it inside this material. And so the bricks materials, they look like this, and they look a little bit more realistic after tweaking a bit of the parameters. And then I added a constant to add a background. I used a little dark brown shade, and that is the overall for this one too. And then over here I also use two types of switch. One is the audio switch, so that they can switch between scenes, because at first I only did the tops and the audio just wasn't syncing with it, so I decided to do it separately. So the switches, I also took it from the same hand gesture. Yeah, so this is the I love you. Yeah, so you can change. And yeah, this is also the part where I use the interface water, and I selected some of the gestures, and this is the part where I chose the gestures to switch for scenes. And this is the interface switch, because I did two types, because each scenes their words are not the same, like this one's density and structure, and the other one is distortion and zoom, and also the slosh. So that is the overall how the network works. And then finally I use layout so that the visual scenes can be above me and my interface would be under it. So that is the overall of my project, and thank you for watching.